Just a long lost look in your eyes brings out a love that I can't disguise. So take me down to the places I've never seen. Or don't you try to kill me with kind. It's just your love that's driving me wild.
We are back here to look at some highlights from game number 1. KONGDOO Monster trying to engage upon the heavy damage dealing composition of Afreeca, but we went to 51 minutes and the damage outscaled. Afreeca eventually won game number 1.
I'm sure it was frustrating for a lot of people watching because Afreeca were in that position where you knew if they could get the fight they wanted, they could win it for about 30 minutes, but they were denied the fight they wanted by this good defensive work from KONGDOO Monster, even with Baron and Elder Dragon. The Elder Dragon was stolen away. The Baron buff, not enough to break the base in 2 places, meant the game was delayed. It wasn't until much later in the game when we actually saw the fight they were looking for, because we had engagements like this where Afreeca were outnumbered, out-rotated. The Abyssal Voyage added a lot of time to the game time as well. Some great ganks in the mid lane. Could have been an MVP for Secret on another day. This is a very nice denial from Tucson, stopping there from being any Baron steals.
We might have Tucson be the MVP again. I think Kuro had a fantastic game on the Corki too. I would put it between one of those two. What do you think?
Well, Spirit's early jungling against that of Raze was good, but such a small part of the game. When you're watching these highlights, you are struck by Tucson's engages, but that's because fights weren't going to start unless Tucson engaged.
I mean, it was his job, right? He was the only one to really do it.
This was the one I liked. The headbutt onto the shield just to taxi into the pulverize. That was slick from Tucson. This time Keen had a teleport ward because they weren't fighting in the enemy base. And we were spared this going to the 90-minute epic because the wave clear wasn't there for the side of KONGDOO Monster. This time, they couldn't just hug their Nexus towers. That means the game ended in this passage of play.
So let's take a look at some game facts. Lots of damage here on the Corki, who eventually does scale to Oblivion and beyond. But yeah, we almost got to 20,000 gold. Not quite there, but it was a slow, steady walk up to the win.
And it was never in doubt of turning around. You look at the graph, very one-sided from the 28-minute mark onwards. A march towards the victory for Afreeca Freecs. They're not doing it for how beautiful the victory looks. They're not doing it for game time. They just want to extend that win streak. And I'm sure the shot call from Spirit was, don't go for the turret dive, don't do this, because we will win unless we make a mistake. They didn't make a mistake, they won the game, and the MVP, you called it, it's Tucson.
14 assists, 0, 3, and 14, but he did his job. 86% kill participation too. This guy just keeps racking up the MVP points for Afreeca. I think it's partially because Afreeca win a lot, but also because they put the engagement role onto Tucson, especially the Alistar. I would love to know how many of the games he got MVP were on the Alistar, because he always has these highlight moments on this champion.
I believe it's 3, but you know, like you say, I start thinking maybe it was more than 3. He's been so consistent on the Alistar. Congratulations to him on the win, racking up the MVP points on the support role. We've never had a support MVP here in the LCK. It'd be cool to finally get our first one, but sounds like ban and picks are ready. Let's see if we're going to keep more of the same from Afreeca. 3 Trinity Forces again, or whether we'll see something new in game number 2.
So looking amused going into this pick and ban. Let's see how it all stacks up. This time, Afreeca on the blue side, of course, after winning game 1 on red. We are going to have some bans here. Rise and Zoe taken away once again by Afreeca.
Afreeca not following the previous script of banning away junglers from Raze, just outplaying Raze, who made a very big mistake at level 2 to kind of cement his own downfall after Spirit went for the smart invade. So no jungle bans on the blue side, just mid lane bans means that Azir was the very obvious first pick. It's banned away, and now we're into the second round of mid laners, means that why not go for the first round of top laners? They're going to go for Keen on the gangplank, feeling very comfortable about that.
GP is still very high in terms of, I saw a post where like GP is the top in win percentage, even in solo queue, and a high pick percentage, and the same can be said here for the pro scene. Sees an incredibly high pick and ban percentage, upwards of 85–90%, and we see it first picked, of course, here.
I wonder if we're going to see something like the Vladimir taken into him. My first inclination with these first 2 picks is no, but we haven't seen Vladimir. Obviously, on patch 8.2, when the quest was removed from the Spell Thief's line, he can no longer get the free pseudo-ghosts that he was able to launch out the spooky ghost, but also get the ghost-like effect, you know, the movement speed in order to close the distance.
Where's my Nunu?
Afreeca's just gonna take the Camille very early into the jungle role exclusively, and like you say, the Nunu you were looking for is denied, sorry to say.
Sad day. Nunu support? Maybe someday.
Tucson played it before in the LCK as recently as last year.
Okay.
It was really bad. All right, Kuro is going to be going lane focused. Some fans are super jazzed about Kuro going back to LeBlanc, one of his special picks.
Laughing his head off after that pick. I wonder if it was about the LeBlanc or what the team in general thinks about the pick.
First time in a long time we've had a LeBlanc here in Korea. Edge, a good LeBlanc player as well. It's going to be a fun one to watch. Very much picking for lane, trying to get pressure in at least one lane, and that seems to be in the mid lane. No AD carries or supports ban means that, well, it's time to thin out champion pools, and goodbye, Tucson Alistair. You're not getting to do that again. Kalista went unpicked and unbanned in game 1. Wonder if that trend will continue. Usually we have one ban towards Xayah or Rakan, with Xayah and Rakan in higher demand on patch 8.2. So Kalista at least will be answered.
Yeah, Afreeca could think about it, but I doubt that KONGDOO Monster would just give that over to them.
Kramer's a legacy Jinx player, so we're still dreaming for our first Jinx. Someday. I think we'll see it at some point in this patch rotation. And when you start banning away more and more AD carries, there is the Kramer respect ban on Xayah. So that's Xayah and Rakan accounted for, Kalista accounted for. So have the Ezreal that Soul played, which didn't look perfect. I feel like it's a pretty obvious draft of the Kog'Maw on red side here, given it's an old favorite of Soul's. We'll see if he agrees.
Gonna take up the support first and pick up the Shen here on their 4th pick.
So Afreeca need to pick up a completed bot lane. There's a lot of bot lanes that win the 2v2 against basically any pairing and Shen. Shen is not for the lane. Kramer has the Ezreal open to him if he wants to go to Ultra Comfort. Will at least be locking in the Braum.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty obvious pick. You see some of the supports taken away.
Flash is an old classic, but will not be playing the Jhin this time. It's going to be Ezreal Braum, very versatile bot lane. Self-peel kind of necessary when he doesn't have much of a tank line, only the Braum as a true tank. So the question is it going to be the Kog'Maw from KONGDOO Monster or something different? You look at their team, they already have pretty hard engaged. Jarvan and also the Shen. We wondered about when we would see our first Jinx. It might be right now.
Look at him smile. There's no way we're going to see it.
Oh.
God damn it, Soul.
One day we will see the Jinx. Maybe as soon as tomorrow when Death rolls around. His spirit animal was always that Jinx, but
it has to be pretty confident in that matchup, though.
I agree. Maybe that's a Game 2 story, like you were mentioning during
We were talking about that. Like, if KT crushes them in Game 1, maybe we see it in Game 2.
I'm just saying, if Galio's locked in and Kog'Maw's banned away, there are worse choices than Jinx for a team comp, but that's a story for another day. KONGDOO Monster will have to pick for lane. Jinx, Shen would have been too much scaling, wouldn't have been picking respectfully for the 2v2, so they're going to go with the Varus. It's a strong draft from both teams. But Afreeca kind of have the game breaker in the fact that LeBlanc can run away with the Taliyah matchup. Will force Taliyah into the barrier, also probably force Taliyah into a first or second item, Banshee Veil, in order to respect the threat coming through from Kuro. So a lot of respect going to be there from the LeBlanc. Surprised to see it as a pick. A lot of other options available, but with 4 mid lane bans and the Taliyah taken blind, he's going to go back to the LeBlanc, back to the well that served him so well on multiple teams.
Kuro looking to show up here in game number 2. Is a bit different compared to their composition the last time, but they do have 4 players that can carry and a tanky support that can engage or disengage, so similar in a way.
And this is the sort of game where you could expect an Ezreal because there are 3 other threats. You can go for a control Ezreal with the Iceborne Gauntlet and then just rely on the Gangplank and friends to do damage, where it's a very standard composition on the side of KONGDOO Monster. Let's see if Raze cannot make that critical mistake in the early game. His pathing has won them a lot of games on Jarvan. Maybe it lost them a game in game 1.
Yep, this time on red side, they'll see if they can take it back and tie it up, or will we have our 2-0 for Afreeca? Here we go, once again, onto the Rift. It's gonna be fun to have a mid lane that has potential for kills, even in the solo fashion.
How could Kuro have a chance against 4-item Taliyah? Taliyah has a lot of junk in her inventory.
We'll see.
He's going for the Corrupting Potion on LeBlanc. That's a different approach to the lane. Does mean that he's going to opt into trades where he takes damage, and honestly, because you're kind of straightforward when you W forward for a Q, let's say, or even when you W for damage, a lot of return damage is basically guaranteed. So wants to go heavier on regen than just 2 health potions, and we'll go for the Corrupting as a result here, does Kuro. Maybe a topside start for KONGDOO Monster. There's a blue ward on the enemy blue buff, so they do know, or do expect this to be a start on the top side. And not entering lane late with a little bit of rage does also confirm that.
It's a very Raze-esque start to the jungle. He starts on the Raptors right away afterwards, so will be a bit different. Not going to be the red to blue to gank. Trying to mix it up here in game 2.
Ganking LeBlanc at level 1 sounds painful. The LeBlanc hasn't skilled an ability, could just hold it until she sees them in lane, but we can see that Q has already been skilled. There's the W.
Coming on in, you can see some rocks being thrown, but Kuro gets the better end of that trade and has the superior regen with the item.
And because of Corrupting Potion, remember his auto attacks are also going to be amped up with magic damage, so that's why the autos, as he took the back end of the Q trade, were relevant as well. Already 1 potion forced out of the Taliyah. Waiting to see the keystones. There they are. Electrocute LeBlanc. So very, very aggressive. We see this on Ahri and LeBlanc. Basically the 1 rotation mages that want to kill in a single extended combo will go electrocute very commonly.
Getting the pushing advantage on the Taliyah.
And notice Keen's itemization here. We see our first Relic Shield Gangplank on this patch. The reason for that is that Bandit is still applied on auto attacks. You're still getting gold generation for lane control. You can't afford to parlay minions the whole time. You need to have some form of trading, and that will be in the form of basically every time a Bandit proc is off cooldown, a parlay to the Gnar. You can opt into upgrading this once in the Targons and have your own Sightstone and then take something like the Sweeping Lens in order for wave clear, but commonly I've seen it just be purely for gold income, so kind of a Cull-esque effect of getting the Bandit procs in, rather than any evolution, and obviously no Quest Shield anymore with the changes on patch 8.2.
Yeah, still good. One of the few picks that will still take it. You got Raze up near the top side, doing the Krugs right now. Level 3. We'll see if he attempts a gank up here onto Keen.
Yeah, Keen's already level 4, so no ambiguity about whether he has the oranges available or not. Makes most ganks pretty difficult to engineer. And it's just a full clear from Spirit, so it's been exactly a full clear, not even ignoring the Gromp. So every camp taken by Spirit.
Ray's making himself well known on the map, taking the scrying plant, going for the scuttler there in the river. Also walking over a ward, so they know exactly where he is.
Spirit was one of the first jungle Camille's we had in solo queue here in Korea. He and Blank, is only Kramer this time, is gathering a storm.
It says, oh, I was the only one that took it this time.
He's the only one that came to the storm party.
Yeah. So not buying in this time.
Trinity Force and Warriors. Probably a very similar build, but a Warrior enchant this time from Spirit compared to his Jax build last game. Trying to do more than 612 damage this game.
Yeah.
I have
Poor
a good
Jax.
feeling about it.
Poor Blank. He's going to have that meme attached to him forever now.
Yep. I mean, Kakao and Kid were never able to rid them of similar memes. Kid still holds the competitive record of 412 damage, was it, on Vayne? It was less than 500, let me tell you.
Good times.
Yeah, not a record you want. Normally they say any news is good news, or like any advertising is good advertising, but not so sure about that one. It's going to be probably the Proto Belt, but it could also be the Gunblade on the LeBlanc. I take back what I said. Probably Gunblade first for a bit of sideline stain. The one time we've seen LeBlanc this season, it was the Gunblade. Proto Belt was an item people experimented with when it came to burst rotations on the LeBlanc when she was released, but the ability to have the Spell Vamp effect when you finish the Gunblade makes you really strong at playing the side lane as LeBlanc when that item is completed. So probably that's what we're going to be seeing here from Kuro.
Edge has been keeping up even after Kuro hit 6 in the lane. Just coming back here will clean up the wave as it moves into him. LeBlanc will have a decent amount of pushing potential to go up against that Talia, so we'll see if Edge ever gets a chance to leave the lane and go for any ganks.
Need to be using the clone there just to allow Tusum some free ward clearing. Usually we don't see the clones used for the, mystery of whether it's the real LeBlanc or not in the side lane, but rather just for blocking skill shots. So it's often what we see, tanking a skill shot, tanking a charm, depending on who you're placing. Not to be this time. Quiet farming here for the Afreeca Freecs Spirit. Has farmed up a Storm. He's already level 6 because of his full clear.
His first gank is going to be a very important one. The first Hextech Ultimatum. You can see that he's pretty low on health right after hitting 6, so he's going to go back home, probably pick up the red, and then look for a gank somewhere.
He hasn't put as much attention into into Scuttle Crabs, and that's why he does have more experience in his opposing number. Raze has control of the jungle for now, but didn't make the aggressive move after game 1. Predictable, I guess, after the fail in mid lane. Watching here, though.
Oh, he interrupts it, and he can always go for the Hextech if he needs it. Stopwatch coming in. Kuro getting low, though. That's going to be first blood going over to Edge. Somehow, LeBlanc will pick up the kill onto the Jarvan. Spirit just barely gets away. The wall is coming in, though. Wants to interrupt this, forces the flash away. He's not done yet. Wants the knockback, and there it is. That's going to be the kill given over to Roach. A 2-for-1 in favor of KONGDOO.
And the W position there from Edge was excellent. The smite was used by Spirit onto the blue just for a little bit of extra health, so he wouldn't want die to a single threaded volley. But in the end, the W hits. Big win for the side of Afreeca Freecs. Kuro teleports back in, hoping to clean something up. There will be nothing for him, and he does get spotted by a control ward. So advantage, KONGDOO Monster. All of that happened, and Edge kept up both his flash and his barrier. Critically, through all of that, they were just trying to DPS down Raze. We did end up dying.
Roach looking for it here, gets close. The orange is coming to effect, not able to build up the Narbar fast enough.
Keen will go back to base, you'd imagine, and piece together some more respectful items. Off armor towards the inevitable Ninja Tabi. Bot lane's also going very well, the side of KONGDOO Monster. About equal in CS, given that we've seen the recall already come through from Kramer. That's good news for them. Going equal in lane with a Shen is definitely happy times, as Secret wanted to force Tusum to stop tanking the minions. No luck. We're going to watch the replay. The moment you saw the interrupt on the flag and drag, your head was just thinking, okay, this is definitely going to be the kill onto Raze. But importantly, Edge was there to turn damage onto Kuro. He was already in position through all of this, so it didn't end up just being a free kill. So good response from Edge to support his mid laner Raze. It was a synergy between those two players on the first day that really was the highlight of KONGDOO's victory, and then also the W right on the cusp of missing does register onto Spirit. Nice 2 kills there for KONGDOO Monster.
It's part of the reason why you see lots of junglers these days also picking up the stopwatch. You think, oh, you know, maybe go for something else, some precision or maybe dominance, but no, it's very often the secondary inspiration tree, because in moments like that, you can turn around the very crucial early game fights where you can stopwatch with just a little bit of health to turn it in your direction.
Yeah, Spirit did end up using the stopwatch through all of that. Unsure if it would have led to him living, but that was the decision made. It's mid lane.
Oh boy, Kuro maybe getting a little bit too aggressive in the lane. Wasn't expecting this. Another kill goes over to Edge, and Secret even coming in. Ray's getting incredibly low, and Douching comes in.
He was fissured to death.
Okay, so the unsealed spellbook gets the teleport to mid lane for the support Braum to come in and get the kill.
He assassinated him with a glacial fissure. I have never seen someone fissured to death, but it happened. That was awesome. It's like we were playing a different MOBA where there is a fissure that does more damage.
Yeah.
But we're watching this one again. This is a great gank timing by KONGDOO Monster. If you note on the bottom side, there's no pressure in the lane onto the Shen, so it's a free ultimate. But in the end, Raze takes a lot of trade damage. You don't think it's going to be enough. He falls down to 80 health and gets max range glacial fissured to death.
You were talking about timing. It was especially important that Kuro did not have his flash available. So the second he jumped forward, it was lights out for the LeBlanc.
Really, only his 2 dashes were not enough.
Yeah. Not quite enough. Poor LeBlanc. Wishes she could one-shot like a Zoe.
LeBlanc's clone once again used for a bit of a headache, but he's clearing minions in mid lane, so no one's going to be surprised by that.
Well, looking for an engage here onto Keen as Raze makes his way up top. We will get the slowdown. Keen has his flash available. They wanted to get the slowdown with the shield, but it's not enough to lock him down.
I'm appreciating Keen, who in an interview with Inven Global shouted out Khan as the top laner he learns the most from, being very judicious with his flash. Stopwatch and flash up on Keen, and we've seen him fall low, but he's trying his best to hold onto those summoners, extend the laning phase. He's only down 8 CS, so by Gangplank laws of causality, he's winning the lane pretty comfortably here. So great stuff from Keen so far. Look at the LeBlanc runes. That actually means the white, if you're looking at the French, because Blanc means white. And it's not one word there. He's taking Transcendence for a bit of CDR when he hits level 10. And Ultimate had as well.
Yeah. This opens up more potential for the one rotation kill. Let it happen more often, as many times as possible. But really the member who's getting the most luck in mid lane has been Edge, who's sitting at 2-0-1. Finished Morellonomicon already with the Merc Treads.
We'll be able to enact a pretty good siege comp at some point here. The 4-man core. Could be a 3-man core, because Shen actually could join the Gnar in a split push. Can do a lot of work Talia with the zoning, and of course the Varus for turret damage. Wait to see if that's enacted. Confirmation that we will be seeing Spirit go pretty offensive in the build. Warrior Enchant first. We saw Steric's Gauge be rushed in this spot from behind on, I believe it was Blank in one of his games, but we'll see if Trinity Force is going to be pieced together here by Spirit.
Didn't really work out for him, huh?
No. We don't talk about that game.
Yeah. Well, Spirit actually has Raze right behind him and a wall coming behind. They want to get on top of Tushin here, who does flash and stand beside actually Kramer. And now Edge is locked down, but he's got a stopwatch. Don't you forget about it. Another TP coming in. Spirit's got one too. Who else has got a stopwatch in this fight? Looks like KONGDOO just wants to disengage, and they'll be happy with that.
Teleport drawn out of Kuro, nice disengage. Like you say, every teleport in the game is down except for Tushin's in a couple of seconds.
Ooh.
Real care for those glacial fissure snipes. Lot going on, but nothing really gained in either direction. KONGDOO feel like they're in a strong position after the earlier double kill onto Edge, but the gold lead doesn't show it. Right now, the farm and the Kleptomancy in top in particular is where the lead comes from. Trinity Force complete around the 12-minute mark in a Gnar matchup. Shows you why. Again, people are so comfortable in Korea to draft Gangplank into Gnar for games like this.
Yeah, just chilling, farming, not really caring that he's only 6 CS behind. Kramer and Tushin doing a good job in the bottom lane, pushing them back. No unsealed spellbook on the side of them. Not that they really needed it. Shen's got his own teleport.
Fleet footwork for a bit of lane sustain when Secret inevitably pulls back and starts roaming to other lanes. It's the most safety you can go onto the Varus if you're not expecting your Shen to be there very much. This is the bad news story for KONGDOO Monster, and the good news story for Afreeca is how strong Keen is getting. When we've seen Keen on the Gangplank, goes for very heavy damage, but it's happy to go Infinity Edge. And Phantom Dancer is 3rd and 4th item, or 4th and 5th item situationally. You look at the enemy team, certainly the Taliyah and the Varus going to be quivering in fear for the barrel crits as the game goes on.
I mean, he's already sitting on a Trinity Force, eventual Ninja Tabi you were talking about. Only 15 minutes into the game. Nice little start. Gunblade also finished here on Kuro.
Yeah, this is the side lane build. So what Afreeca want to do here is find a way to crack a side lane turret, pop Kuro with teleport in the side lane, and then just have Ezreal free farming in mid lane, whereas lack of wave that can't be exploited as easily. Just ult the wave every other wave.
There's that Gunblade, but Ray shows up. Save the life of Edge, who no longer has the barrier, by the way. Does have TP.
Yeah, unsealed spellbook on Edge allows him to be flexible. We'll go into the Banshee Veil next, and then won't need the barrier as pressingly.
Camille waiting nearby, but we got Edge. It might turn into a 2v2, trying to get on top of Kuro. Here comes the Camille, comes in and one-shots him down from low health. But here comes Shen, gonna try to counter with the teleport and the GP ultimate. In goes Kuro. It's Tushin looking for the assassination. Can he get it again? No, not quite. Not this time, but Kuro trying to get it. The last auto attack will do it, but flashing on in, trying to kill Kuro with the turret shot. Now Secret will have to use his last stopwatch Ignite, about to come off cooldown. Got to be careful about this one. They want to get that kill, but they cannot quite do it in the end.
Tushin is still the most bloodthirsty Braum we have ever seen. Every time he shows up, people be dying on the enemy side. Kuro, nonplussed about all of this, did not die, so
Very
crucially
angry.
got some kill involvements. Can't have it every time, Kuro. Got to be more thoughtful. Kane himself continues to farm, putting together an Essence Reaver as his second item. And in all of this craziness, Kramer's like, well, my Braum's never here. I'm just farming.
Just sitting bottom lane. Relic Shield is out of the meta. Doesn't seem to matter. Our 80 carries. I mean, we saw it in the first series. Teams can definitely opt into a very aggressive kind of play. But either way, let's get back to the replay.
Yeah, you'd mentioned Camille. She had already postured forward, and you thought, okay, she's going to back off. That's a lot of burst. Very well woven in that time by Spirit. Knew exactly his damage output. That's from all the practice he had been putting in solo queue. And Braum shows up. The extra AD from the Gunblade ends up being very important here.
Oh.
Watch here. So it's about 150 health. The last auto attack does 60 damage. It actually kills him. Does more damage than you'd expect from a LeBlanc this late in the game. Secret thinks he has the kill, but not enough. Stopwatches galore, and in all of this, Edge almost dies again.
That's the thing about LeBlanc. You really have to respect her all-in potential after the Gunblade comes in. Even though Edge was able to get that early lead in the kills in the first blood, not too much magic resist has been built in outside of the Merc treads here.
Yeah, the LeBlanc matchup into Taliyah actually got quite a lot of buffs, but indirect buffs. Basically, because Taliyah's mana costs went up. We'll hold the point.
Roach in a bit of trouble here. He's going to be locked down, but Taliyah's zooming on in from the main base. Keen wants to get a kill with the help of Kuro. Gunblade will be the hero in picking up the kill. Now it's a 3-on-2. Ray's coming in from the left side. Hasn't made himself known in his mind, but he finds that control ward. They'll just accept the kill.
Yeah, good timing. Shen didn't have ultimate yet, so wasn't able to join in as well and delay them under turret even longer. Point I was trying to get to is that you can't rush Banshee Veil as a Taliyah because your mana cost is so high on Q that you'll run out of mana doing that. So the Banshee Veil is so slow, and it builds pretty weird fashion where you have a Fiendish Codex, a Blasting Wall, you haven't got any magic resist yet because You don't want to sit on a null magic mantle on your inventory. So when that's finished, the matchup gets better. But because the way the item builds is kind of frustrating and the mana costs went up, you're kind of in this awkward spot where every time Edge enters lane, Kuro just goes in, and if he hits a chain, basically the Talia's out of health.
We saw the effect of it, at least at the end of one of those trades where she didn't quite die in the end. And of course, Raze was coming in, so Kuro did back off. But just the threat of being able to nearly 100-0 makes it a hard lane at this point for Edge. But they're looking for a play down bottom. We see Talia and the Jarvan, Edge and Raze trying to make their way bot. Spirit is here though. Might be able to turn this around. Just got a TP on Kuro and Keen, so they could easily 5v4 if they wanted to turn into that. And
they at least delay long enough that Gangplank Ultimate will be up for any attempt at a turret take. No priority at all on the Drake, because it is the first Drake Cloud, and no one took it pre-10 minutes, so everyone feels a bit sheepish about, so not Cloud, Ocean, but everyone feels a bit sheepish about attempting at 20 minutes. Mid lane.
Kuro gets it, even with the stand beside me. He does go down, the Stand United rather, bursting through that Shen Shield damage. Now they're going to get the slow onto Raze, and that's enough for him to try to go in. Kuro smartly backs away. Spirit picks up the kill. Make that 2. Kuro popping off on the LeBlanc.
Yeah, Kuro's LeBlanc mechanics have always been underrated. A player that was always compared to FLICKR. FLICKR doesn't play the LeBlanc anymore. When Kuro breaks it out, he is still strong on the champion, 100%. Kill participation is pretty insane for a LeBlanc, but that's where we're at. No Trinity Force yet, but with the Sheen and also the AP coming through from the LeBlanc, meaning some decent turret damage, quite a lot of threat. Void Staff second still enough to burst through Edge, who still is frustrated trying to piece together a Banshee Veil.
Take another look at top lane too, and Keen is the one pushing Roach out of lane here. As he's getting up to more items, has Yomu's Ghostblade, as well as the Ninja Tabby. Let's take a look at the replay.
So Raze was here from the start. This is basically opting into a bit of damage and then through the ultimate just kills him. That's an insane amount of burst from this electrocute LeBlanc. And the new thing in this meta, they turns onto Raze happily. Spirit gets the ult, but right into Kuro also for threading through the chain. Spirit finishes it off. Very nice from the Afreeca Freecs. And now, because he's so far ahead in items, he's going to be at least half an item ahead of the Talia at all times. Will it be enough getting a Banshee Veil here to shut down Talia having any sort of side lane impact whatsoever? Gold-wise, 1,200 gold is the lead in mid lane for the LeBlanc.
By the way, plus 678 gold for your Runic Shield up top. So happy times for our Gangplank in the top.
And that's just from what? At least I would say 600 of that is parlay. Off cooldown, basically. Bit of health to get through. Sold the item, so feeling pretty good about all of it.
Edge actually picked up that blue buff. That was perfectly timed with the smite before the last rock was thrown. So nicely done.
Feels good about that, but Ocean Drake finally killed to hopefully spawn something better. Sad news, Afreeca. It's going to be another Ocean.
No. Gets
Ooh, got updated.
Yeah.
I got baited.
You got baited by Spo TV.
Thanks, Spo TV.
Welcome to the club.
Bot lane.
Well, trying to go in there, but Edge, you know, once again, he has to flash, and he even uses his barrier because he panics a little bit as the True Shot Barrage comes through. That's the other part of this. If you don't even 100-0 him, you got other threats. You got Camille coming from the jungle. You got True Shot Barrage. You never know what's coming out. Cannon Barrage from the top lane. It's insane.
And when you play side lanes as good as Gunblade LeBlanc, it doesn't matter if the enemy laner dies as long as you force them out. And we just saw that one rotation will burst Edge through Banshee Veil to about 30% health. So already he's going to be able to perform his role. This is an MVP level performance by Kuro, but he's turned on to.
He gets flash, flag, and dragged, and he's got the taunt on top of him too. Soul is getting jumped on here by Spirit, but he gets taken out. In the end, only Jarvan goes down on the side of KONGDOO. Maybe Secret will meet the same fate, but no, he does get away. Low members on the side of KONGDOO, but at least they win the trade somehow.
Yeah, 1 for 2, but Afreeca on their damage deals are strong enough to keep pushing in, and KONGDOO Monster desperately need to recall. They lose an inner turret, but they'll get some time in the fountain from all of this. LeBlanc getting bursted down was the big story there. Boss has no sort of tankiness in her build, all about the assassination. That time she was assassinated ended up being an advantageous trade for KONGDOO Monster. A lot of vision towards the side there for Afreeca, but it was all about the brute force. They were trying to style on KONGDOO Monster. We'll see the replay here. KONGDOO just pushes up too far, and that time the Flag Dragon Flash does register, and the dunk does too. So KONGDOO dies to the Ignite after all of that.
Almost got away, funnily enough.
Wasn't for those damn kids.
Yeah. Secret, had he taken exhaust or something like that?
Smoke TV doesn't want to recreate their mistakes, so was showing us the picture-in-picture, but that time nothing was happening. Appreciate it nonetheless.
Some ferocious farming.
FF, Valdez,
Yeah.
FF.
FF here at 24.
Yep.
Both teams at it right now. Well, this has been a satisfying game so far for Afreeca. Even game 1, it seems like their ideas coming into 8.2 are fleshing out very nicely against KONGDOO. I'd love to see them try to play it against a much stronger team, right? Against a KT of sorts.
Feels like so far their ideas board is just one sentence, triple Trinity Force, and a big circle around it.
Pretty much, yeah.
That seems to be the way they play League of Legends. Triple Trinity Force complete in this game as well.
With some additions, such as the LeBlanc and stuff like that. One thing to note about Afreeca's schedule, they had KT, KZ, and KSV in the first 3 matches. So now they've got all the other guys to go up against. They only defeated KT out of those 3 K teams. And their streak has largely come from defeating Rocks, defeating BBQ, and defeating SKT, which is nearing that 10th place spot. So not really up there with the rest of them. So getting a lot of confidence from their good winning streak, but it is important to note the teams that they are winning against.
But if you have teams like KSV dropping games to Rocks and KONGDOO Monster, going 7-2 in the first round robin might be pace for 3rd or 4th.
Yeah,
not the 5th that they've been kind of condemned to every time they've made the playoffs. So who's to say is, well, this is bad for Roach.
Yeah, I mean, you got a Shen, but that's not enough. He's level 12. You got 3 members that can engage onto you like that, and Tushin with teleport. They have so much map presence and mobility in this composition. It's disgusting, Papa.
And it's very hard to make this sound like a compliment, but Kuro is on the chains this game,
I know.
hitting all of them. Off the chains is not an insult, but it sounds like one is seeing Tushin take a bit of damage.
It's a 3-man knockup in that. Tail end hitting a couple of members on the backside, so they take out an inhibitor turret, looking to back away afterwards.
There's so much safety in the way they do this. The stat before the game was they place the most control vision of any team in Korea, and I'm kind of struck by how safe everything they do is. Afreeca used to roll the dice in kind of insane fashion in their previous lineup with Marin in the top lane last year. Now they really do seem to take slow and steady whenever they can afford to. Whenever they're comfortable, they're in a decent scaling position. They're not looking for completely insane risks like previous versions of Afreeca Freecs have been known to do. They had the coverage there. They knew they didn't have to respect any sort of flank. They take the inhibitor turret and they back away. They're not baiting themselves trying to kill an inhibitor. That's something they can return to later. And with Infernal spawning in a minute, they're definitely in best position to pick it up.
These guys have really come together, bringing in a less famous and less dominant top laner, a younger guy who can listen well to orders and has a great laning phase. They have Spirit calling the shots now, and things have looked better. Even the games that they played against KT, KZ, and KSV. They won a game against KSV. KZ looks like the best team in the world. How can you blame them for going down 0-2? And they beat KT. So Afreeca as a team, the hype around them definitely seems to be based on logic and reason, and we're seeing it come into form here in the first round. It's fun to watch.
And with just, one more auto attack, they'd be 6-1 at the end of this series.
True.
Rather than the 5-2 that they're looking to be after all of this. So they can feel a little bit hard done by this, not even better after they were kind of heartbroken, losing to KSV in that 31 HP Nexus game. But yeah, it looks like improvement. They look like a better team than they did last year, which, to say that so early in the season, for Keen to already be, a top 5 top laner easily.
Yeah.
In the start of this season after being a promising rookie who played half a season in summer season on a no-hope team on Ever 8 Winners. Big compliments to him, and also the trust that Afreeca placed in him to replace a true legend of the top lane.
Yeah.
So it's all coming together for Afreeca. I wonder about games where Spirit falls behind. To me, that's been the only time they look susceptible, when Spirit doesn't have control of his own jungle. You think of the Skarner game that they ended up winning, but kind of by comical fashion over MVP, where they just kind of were gifted a lead in the end and stole a Baron and all the other things that happen in MVP series.
Q-Max low.
Yeah, the build was...
interesting Skarner builds.
You put a lot of emphasis on the first 3 letters there.
Yeah.
But
interesting.
It was very interesting, but...
Yeah, I mean...
Apart from that,
shout out to the Afreeca coaching staff and their scouting staff too. To see Keen on that team, on the No Hope team, and just be like, that guy's got potential. I mean, the only other top laner that's more of a rookie and a newer guy that's showing this much potential is Soan on the side of Jin Air.
And he's been around a long time, if not playing for a long time. He's been in the professional scene for 2.5 years, so definitely good recognition there. When we're talking about the Afreeca coaches, we should say that KONGDOO Monster's coach, Zephyr, went over to Afreeca Freecs, and he was a guy who was credited for basically all the improvements that KONGDOO Monster showed. Of course, he had his battle with cancer and was away twice from the team, so never really got a foothold for an entire season at the LCK level. But he was always praised as a coaching mind on a team that struggled pretty extensively. So to see him now on a team with certainly more star power is also vindicating, because their approach to the game seems just straight up better than past versions of Afreeca.
Yeah, they also have the experience of a manager in I Love Uv, one of the most famous guys from StarCraft. Legends, yeah.
He's definitely one of those elder players as well, because of course he's a StarCraft 1 pro, so he's been around
forever. Whereas KONGDOO now have a StarCraft 2 pro as their main manager.
Which one's better, Brendan?
In terms of coaching or playing? Because
I didn't ask for any specifics. I just asked.
Do you want me to get into this? Like, I can talk about a different game on the LoL broadcast if you really want me to. MC had a bunch of championships. Uv, I think he had some as well. But looks like we might have some action in this game. In fact, we don't have to just talk about the greatness of Afreeca for the entirety of this broadcast.
Well,
as fun as it is.
They're in a really, really good spot. They're turning on to Baron. It's just Kramer and Tucson right now, as far as we can see. Spirit going to be on interrupt duty for at least a start.
Ooh, this is the chains here, and the hook shot, so Raze gets away. Two-shot barrage hits a bunch, but look at Tucson. He's just tanking it up. He's like, don't worry, guys. I got this.
Yeah, he's keeping it leashed after all this time, so Raze, he's going to be turned on by Kuro.
Goodbye. Jungle disappears. And our bloodthirsty support tries to get another knock up. Kuro on that Fed LeBlanc takes out Raze as if he were a squishy at this point.
And when we saw the hook shot go back into the pit, I was like, who was on interrupt duty? Kuro knew exactly his role. Level 18 LeBlanc, easily assassinating level 13 jungle. Raze is once again the same level as his support. He's been, unfortunately for him, thoroughly out-jungled again. And now we're talking about 3 sets in a row for Raze, and Yujun hasn't looked necessarily any better, as maybe Secret will die too.
Yeah, he's got a locket, but what is that really going to do? I guess it's going to do just exactly enough.
Just that much.
Just like the perfect amount of health.
That was some sick play-by-play right there where he found this.
Locket's a good item. We see Raze struggling to get one now as he's like, I just need to survive against this LeBlanc.
I mean, Locket has the scaling with Warmogs, you know, the health scaling, so just trying his best to be at least an aura, because he kind of initiates, presses the Locket when he gets it, and doesn't do much else.
Yeah.
Damage-wise, whoa!
Okay, update. LeBlanc surges ahead. You can see Spirit isn't really high on the numbers, just a bit above the Braum, but it's not to say that he hasn't had a huge impact on this game. His ganks in mid lane have really unlocked the LeBlanc to get ahead.
I'm going to ask you a prediction. Right now, Tucson is 700 gold, 700 damage ahead of Raze. Who will end the game with more damage?
Oh, that's an easy one. Definitely Tucson. I mean, that doesn't even require thought at this point.
He's 1-0-1. He's a carry.
I know. He's doing well for himself.
His team has 10 kills.
He has more kills than the Ezreal.
He has 20% kill participation as a Braum. That's the lowest kill participation Braum we've ever seen.
He's still doing more damage.
It's true.
Than Raze, who has 80% kill participation for his team.
Stats are really meaningful, guys, by the way.
It's fun.
Well, Keen pushing in bot lane. There's no turret there. Very sorry. This is so zoomed out.
This
I'm
zoom.
getting vertigo
what
right now.
Whoa. Someone call Bono.
I'm trying my best.
Well, full court press, as you like to say, Papa. Afreeca's coming in. They got Baron. They're 15,000 gold ahead.
Can we please zoom back in? I'm getting uncomfortable.
Oh, Soul's getting caught out here. Tushin trying to knock up a bit more damage. Kramer taking some on the back foot. Roach trying to get Keen on into his team, but misses the wall. Kuro, meanwhile, just farming.
We're lucky we're at the Gangnam Stadium because our monitors are too small at OGN for this to happen. We would not be able to see the action. We continue to zoom out further and further. Technology, it's running wild.
I know, we got all the updates here. All the upgraded equipment at Spo TV.
Right, we're looking for the closer, Spirit.
Oh, they find Soul. He's got his... Okay, he still has that, but he's still going to go down. Kuro looking for the engage here. Onto Edge. Once that final kill, 1Q will do it. Looking for the ace. It looks like Roach will be the only one to survive, but it doesn't really matter. Kuro going to go back, TP back in. That's going to be the game. Afreeca going to take the victory over KONGDOO 2-0. Looking stronger than ever here in the first round of our LCK 2018 Spring Split. Congrats to them on the 2-0 tonight.
Congrats to them. Also on 8 games in a row. 4 matches have gone 2-0 as they're just increasing their position on the table. Their game score is only going to get better and better. A 0-2 loss to Kingzone, a 1-2 to KSV, 2-1 over KT. That was on the first day, very, very early. But otherwise, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. The consistency they're showing, I would say the 2 cleanest teams we have in Korea, one of them is Kingzone, which for Malongju makes sense. Yeah. The second most clean team we have is the Afreeca Freecs, the team that will play 3 games every time. Perfect game in game 1, and then throw it all away in game 2. The game 2 hangovers are gone. The game 2s are as clean or sometimes more clean than the game 1. Fantastic stuff from the lineup here of the Afreeca Freecs. They've struck gold, and if they keep going at this pace, maybe they will finally play a best of 5 in the postseason, because previously it's been 3 visits to the best of 3 wild card and 3 defeats.
Yeah, the hype is real for Afreeca. We'll see how they ended out here, and especially how they look in the second round of spring. So I just want to see how they can do against the better teams, the teams at the top, if they can really hang with the best, because they look clean against the lower teams. They look a lot cleaner than KSV, let me tell you that. I mean, they 2-0 Rocks. KSV just barely lose out to Rocks 1-2.
In the past, Afreeca Freecs were kind of the evolution of Jinna in being the Robin Hoods of the league, where they would beat SK Telecom when SKT were at their strongest and then lose randomly to a KONGDOO monster-like team. Now they are clinical against the lowest teams, and we get to see the replay of the final fight a little bit more zoomed in. Thanks, Spo TV. Uh-oh, never mind. We're going to zoom back out again. From here, though, it ends up just being a gold lead, a Baron buff, bloodthirsty Tucson, who almost certainly is going to end the game with more damage dealt than the enemy jungler. And Afreeca Freecs roll on, and we don't know how high they can ascend, because a first-round robin of 7-2 is looking very possible.
Yeah, an easy prediction at this point. Let's take a look. The damage graph, and he did it. 900 more damage. Actually, 899 exactly there over poor little Raze on the Jarvan. Shen pretty much a non-factor. He had a couple of good stand Uniteds, but by the time the LeBlanc got fed, he tried to shield them, but they just died before it mattered.
Kind of the most impressive thing to me is if you overlaid their 2 gold graphs, they're basically the same, except a little bit earlier here compared to game 1, where it took them a long time to close, but from 28 minutes, it is consistently getting bigger and bigger a gold lead. In this game, from 15 minutes, it was getting bigger and bigger, so very, very nicely played from the Afreeca Freecs. MVP choice here. I know I personally will put my hand up and say Kuro, because he was very on point with the playmaking. We'll see if there's any disagreements. At Spo TV, we don't get a vote, guys, so...
Yeah, honestly, Kuro, I mean, Spirit looks pretty good as well with some of the engagements he had. Tushin coming in, being bloodthirsty. Shout-outs to them. The 2 guys that were kind of sitting on the backside doing damage were Keen and Kramer, of course. Not to say they didn't have a huge impact, but they weren't really the playmakers of the game. So we'll have to wait and see. 35 minutes, pretty clean. Nicely done. That was actually was that a perfect game?
No, 6 kills for KONGDOO Monster, but no objectives.
I looked at everything else. I'm like, Drakes, towers, No Elder Dragons or Barons, but 6 kills.
Jake's towers, oh my.
I was getting very far ahead of myself.
You were getting too excited there. Well, that may be a story tomorrow.
I know.
But for today,
I apologize for that in the past. Seemed to work out, but
I know.
We'll see.
Reddit has now picked up that if you just apologize for getting excited, it's a clearing out of the state. It's a very Canadian-esque thing, so we'll see if that is going to help them out tomorrow.
I just hope that KT doesn't win game 1 and nobody gets excited at all, because that would just be the last of it. Okay, Tushin's going to get this one. I mean, he was bloodthirsty. He got a kill with his Glacial Fissure, and he made plays with teleport.
Has a Braum ever gotten an MVP for 36% kill participation? I'm not sure about this MVP.
I don't know. It's like they just want to talk to Tushin today. Like, this is becoming a meme in LCK at both SPO and OGN, where it's like, let's give them both MVPs so we can talk to only Tushin once again.
Well, he may actually be first in the MVP rankings at 500. 400 was the number previously, so unless today has updated it, which if I think about it, I don't believe it has, we might have Tushin as our MVP leader. If you had that in the betting pool, you're feeling pretty smart.
Yeah, that would be a reach, but, well, you're right for now. So, guys, let's get into our interview. Suhyun gonna host us in, Suncaster, as well as Tushin over there, waiting and preparing, and Jisun for the translation.
An MVP interview with Tushin from Afreeca Freecs. So we have to say that Afreeca Freecs is one of the stronger team in LCK. Congratulations. Well, you're on the interview zone too much, so I have nothing to ask you. Did you expect that you're going to be the MVP? Well, I think Kuro played really well, so I thought it could be Kuro, and Kuro also wanted him to be MVP, but yeah, I was lucky to get it. And I saw Key being a little bit sad that he did not get the MVP. Yeah, it was really hard for us to pick just one player for each game. But also the second set, if you check out later, you can see that the caster from the Korean casters really loves you. And you also have a lot of fans out here, especially guys. What's your charming points? Well, I think overall, I think supporters have become more important in League of Legends, and also I play some tanky champions, so I think that's why I became a little bit more popular from all the other fans. Well, also Kramer has his second 100th game in LCK. Is there anything you want to say to him? Well, he's a little bit sad that I'm the only one getting MVP from bottom lane. Well, but I'm sure that you're going to get one later. There was a question from the fans that all the Afreeca players are always carrying their personal tumblers. What do you guys carry in it? Well, we basically just bring some tea, because that's why we used to drink in our house. And I think we have a little bit of jinx that our performance gets better when we drink that tea. So it brings you luck, right? So do you remember all the moments from the both sets? Then let's check out the highlights. Well, this was amazing play. At this point, you pushed the J4 back. Well, I asked for teammates to save me, but they just ignored me, so I just managed to survive by myself. Well, and this one was a coordination with me and Keen. Oh, this one was awesome also. Your ultimate was
네.
great.
이게 얼마나 파괴력이 있는 기술인지를 한번 선보였었던 그 장면 아니겠습니까?
맞습니다.
Yeah, I think Braum's ult is really strong.
이때 완전 이 장면 어땠어요? 본인 보기에?
Then what about this moment?
했다고 생각했는데 좀 아쉽네요, 이거.
Well, I thought I could take down Shin also, but well, yeah, we wasn't able to get him down.
사랑한다, 미치겠다. 경기 중에서 강승현의 설련이 가장
But
많이 했던 말이
you know, Caster Kangkyu was so in love with you today. He was like yelling out your name all the time. Is there anything you want to say to him?
제가 나중에 못하게 하더라도 그러면은
If I underperform later on, I hope you make a good comments on me, please. Thank you.
선수만큼이나 주목받는 플레이를 많이 펼쳤잖아요. 어떤 선수가 또 오늘 잘했다고 생각해요?
Well, who do you think is another MVP from today's game?
약간 좀 비주류 챔프 같은데 오늘 뽑아가지고
I think LeBlanc is not a mainstream champion, but I think Kuro did a really amazing job. So
조금 아쉽네요. 약간.
yeah, so I have to say Kuro.
오늘 모시도록 하겠습니다.
So we brought Kuro for you.
네, 쿠로 선수 모시도록 하겠습니다. 네. 이 특별히 이 과자를 좋아하신다고 그래가지고.
Oh, we got another special present for you that I heard that this one is your favorite.
당연히 종이가 잘했다고 생각은 하지만
Well, I know Tusin did a great job in the second set, but I think I was better. So I'm a little bit sad.
종이기를 더 좋아하는
Maybe Sport TV loves Tusin a little bit more.
공정한 투표였다고 생각합니다.
I think it was a fair vote.
두 선수가 선의 경쟁을 하면서 진짜 좋은 장면들이 많이 나거든요. 특히나 르블랑에 관련된 데이터를 좀 찾아봤더니
So we looked up for some information about LeBlanc,
2016년 7월 18일 이후로 처음 꺼냈더라고요.
and you haven't played it since last
2015년도부터
last July.
근데 사실 르블랑이
And also your win rate is around 86%.
얘기라든지 뭐 이런 게 있을까요?
Why aren't players picking LeBlanc nowadays?
그냥 저희가 이제 각이 나와서
I actually didn't prepare LeBlanc a lot,
짬이 있잖아요.
but you know I have experience more than 5 years, so I don't really think that my practice beforehand it doesn't really matter.
이게 과대간 거다. 이거 르블랑 홈쇼핑이라서 잘못 사면 좀 위험할 수도 있다. 충분히 알아보고 사줬으면 좋겠다. 나는
Well, is it okay to use in solo queues?
이 멘트에 대해서 어떻게 생각하세요, 르블랑?
맞는 것 같아요. 혹하고 했다가는
Well, if you just watch this game and gonna play in the solo queue, it may be dangerous.
이런 정도로 좀 받아들일 수 있을 것 같습니다. 사실 쿠로 선수에 대해서도 많은 팬들이 좀 응원하고 계시고 특히나
So
오늘 경기에서도
there are a lot of fans out here.
픽하는 순간부터 끝나는 순간까지
You know, there was a huge like crowd yelling out your name ever since you picked LeBlanc.
전 세계 팬들에게 한 말씀 해주시면
Is there anything you want to say to your fans in English?
Thank you. 예. 그리고 한국 팬들에게 한국 말씀.
And in Korean?
감사합니다.
Thank you.
고맙습니다. 근데 준현 선수 사실 오늘 경기 전부터 그런 얘기가 있거든요. 아프리카 프릭스 예전에는 좀 색다른 느낌이었습니다만 이제는
Back in the days, Afreeca Freecs was kind of a different team with different playstyle, but you guys are apparently the stronger team in LCK, for sure.
전문가들이 예상을 하고 있거든요. 이제 확실히 이번 경기를 자꾸 위쪽으로 올라간 아프리카 프릭스를 기대하는.
So you guys are in the upper ranks.
뭐라고 말씀해 주실까요?
Is there any last words for your fans?
3K를 위협하는 게 아닌 3K 안에 들어갈 수 있는 이제 그런 팀이 되려고 노력하고
We're gonna become a better team that can be better than the 3Ks.
애매했다면 지금은 완벽한
And we're gonna make a really clean play style. So I hope you guys keep supporting for us.
사실 쿠로 선수 같은 경우는 진짜 확실하게 정상에 대한 맛도 제대로 알고 그리고 그 길로
And
가는
Kuro, you
길에
have
대해서
experience of winning the whole series.
어느 정도 약간 반발짝 뒤에 있었다는 느낌이 있었습니다. 근데 이제는 완전 그 안에 있잖아요.
Are you ready to be the upper ranks again?
그래야지 뭐 팀 단위로도 분위기가 좀
Well, there was some times that you guys were in a downfall as Afreeca Freecs. Is there anything you want to say to all the other teams in LCK?
저희가 두팀 남았는데
So we have 2 matches left for the first round, and we have gone through all the matches with stronger teams, and we actually lost out 2 games. So we're gonna make sure that we're gonna pay off in the second round. So this will be the end of the interview with Kuro and Tusin.
쿠로 선수 함께했습니다. 고맙습니다.
감사합니다.
SpoTV, couldn't we have just given Kuro the MVP instead of just
I know.
rolling him in
You
afterwards?
gotta bribe him with the rice snacks instead of just giving him the points. I don't get it. Either way. Nice little engage here from
Wait for
Tushin.
Braum though. Boom!
He was pretty good
Fissured.
too. He was good.
Fissured is a fun thing to say.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned. This is when Spirit did way more damage than I expected at level 9.
Now level 10.
Ho ho.
Upgraded. Just like our interviews, I feel like they're getting better and better.
I mean, Twitch chat seems to be having a good time.
Yeah. Caster Sung is popping off here.
Oh, what a game.
His reaction when Kuro said thank you. Actually the greatest. Well, we had Afreeca domination. Very one-sided over here in game number 2. As is usually the way in one of those long, drawn-out games in game number 1 that you eventually win. The team kind of
Use all their patience, right?
Yeah.
All their patience is expended in game 1, trying to get back in. But from there, it was just a pretty clean end here from Afreeca Freecs. Much quicker in game 2. Wherever Kuro went, they had insane burst damage. Like, where did the health bar go? As Brendan Valdez always asks.
Yeah.
And from there, why are we watching the Kuro MVP roll?
I know. Look at all the great things Kuro did.
Meanwhile, Braum was 1-0-1 when this happened.
Braum's like in there with this Unbreakable up, and then we zoom in on Kuro, like, destroying Edge. We're like, yeah, look at this crazy play Kuro did. Well, maybe next time, Kuro.
Oh, well. That was a game. That was a series.
They're third place. That's what it says up at the top. And it says, scream out, fans, basically. Literally translated.
That means they go ahead of KSV, who, of course, could have been equal first. Now they find themselves in 4th place. Afreeca Freecs deserve to be 3rd. Afreeca Freecs have been a lot better than KSV over the course of the season. But 1 and 2 play tomorrow, and I have to say, my eyes and my heart definitely are tended towards our second series tomorrow, which will be KingZone versus KT Roll. So please, everybody, join us. What should be a legendary series. But the first one also is so interesting. SK Telecom already have defied history. They are on the back of a 5-match losing streak. They might be cemented into 9th place. They lose 2-0 and MVP start to lose 2-1 or win a match. They'll be last in the entire league.
Yeah, SKT just trying to make history in many different ways. The first to win 3 World Championships and the first to also drop out after losing in the finals. We'll see if they actually get relegated. That's pretty far away.
Hey.
I know there was like one guy in Twitch chat that was
I'm going to call you on this.
who knows?
You're actually wrong because Samsung Galaxy won in 2014 and finished last in 2015 when they lost their whole roster.
Okay.
That was obviously a bit more obvious and they lost all their players. But let's talk about the schedule. Tomorrow's matchups, for 2 different reasons, so interesting. BBQ versus SK Telecom T1. Will SKT's losing streak continue? And then the creme de la creme, a rematch of the Kesper Cup final, KT Rolster versus KingZone. And that's the start of what is going to be a really fun week of games.
KingZone looks like the best team in the world. I would put my money on them. I would say probably a 2-1 victory. KT Rolster has so much talent in their lineup, and one game they could just outplay you through multiple different lanes and then come out with the victory. As long as they don't throw it late game, it's going to be a really close one. I'll be watching from somewhere. It's going to be nice. Enjoy the cast, Papa.
From there, some other fun matchups this week. Jin Air versus KingZone, depending on how the result goes tomorrow, might be an interesting one on Saturday. And when we come back, what should have been, of course, the hyped World Finals rematch is a very different affair, as KSV's next matchup on Sunday is against SK Telecom T1. I mean, again, we could be talking about 7 losses in a row.
We'll see what happens on tomorrow's game against BBQ. If SKT come back and, you know, maybe Blossom comes out and something happens, like they switch up their roster, maybe Wolf goes back into the jungle, who knows? If they like bounce off of that and they go up against KSV, KSV is not that clean nowadays.
You're
who knows?
right.
Maybe SKT comes in and bounces off of that and starts going up.
You're right, but man, it's just such a weird world we live in. The only thing about tomorrow is, again, hype matches, specifically the second set. Everyone will be watching. Anything could happen in that series, but it's been a really fun match day today. 8.2's brought us a lot of new, and first game today was a little bit slower for the second set. But from that, you'd say 4 out of 5 games. Feeling pretty good about where the meta's going.
Yeah, it's very fast and furious if you want it to be. I think teams are going to look at what Rox did today and say, hey, maybe we could do that better. Maybe we'll see some of the top teams try to do that as well. That would be a fun 8.2. But either way, guys, thanks once again for watching. We love you. Good night.
이 패치로 시작된 이번 주 경기들, 이번 패치가 LCK 경기에 어떤 영향을 미칠지 많은 관심이 집중되고 있습니다. 이어지는 상암 경기장에서의 LCK 경기에도 많은 기대와 관심 부탁드리겠습니다. 그럼 저는 일요일 오후 4시 50분에 다시 즐거운 경기들로 인사드리도록 하겠습니다. 함께해 주신 여러분 고맙습니다.